Well, good afternoon, beautiful people of planet Earth and all other interdimensional entities, all sentient beings across this beautiful blue marble, spinning in space and time and however many dimensions we're up to now according to our scientific gnosis. I think it's 13 dimensions, I'm not sure. But anyway, you're all out there, Some of you watch my videos. Only the gods can tell me why. Maybe the gods and Charlie. Anyway, here we are. I'm eating chocolate sultanas, which I bought in Aldi. I went and did a bit of grocery shopping on the way en route to my handsome, talented, worthy psychiatrist. Had a debrief today. Tells me I'm sensual. As a man, even he's observed that, but he's not intimidated by my sensuality. So we wind each other up. It's wonderful. He's a wonderful man. To you, Brian. However, we couldn't resolve the problem as to whether I continue to participate in my usual dance space or whether I branch out and go to new venues where nobody knows me so they can have the authentic and unmitigated shock of getting used to the Tanya doing her wild mosh. And Brian reminded me that I've been part of that music scene for 14 years and very much a valued member of that scene, and that they kind of do like me, at times tolerate me. So anyway, I'm having all this existential angst about whether I'm wanted or not, or whether it's time to move on. And on the one hand, I didn't like those seductive slime balls trying to lure me away, because I like to make my own decisions and drive my own bus, people of Earth. So I've decided I will continue doing my normal routine, even with the massive parking issues, which are getting concerning for safety issues coming home at night. Not so much getting there, but coming home at 2, 3 a.m. So I'm not sure what I can do about that. My doctor suggested maybe, I asked the club to negotiate with local businesses in the area that might have parking facilities and might be willing to avail us of parking on the weekend so that the bands and the regulars like me have somewhere safe to park and go to at the end of the night. It all seems a bit kind of chutzpahdik to have to ask for that and a bit nebulous, but as I said to Brian, I've been coming and going under my own auspices for 14 years, either using buses or my own vehicle, paying for parking for 14 years. So I guess I just have to carry on. Just have to carry on being autonomous and brave. Quite frankly, brave. It's part of my Bodhisattva persona. Anyway, we had a good old chuckle about those $4,000 boots that I would love to manifest, but probably wouldn't be able to walk in. My doctor and I laughed and laughed over that. So I said to him, well, the Doc Martin ones, I said in my previous video I paid $400, but I remembered later I paid $560. So that was still quite a large amount of money for a pair of boots, but they only lasted 3 years. But mind you, I danced in them nearly every weekend, and I mushed in them, and I threw my whole body into them, and they held up quite well considering. But I don't think Le Christian Louboutin will be as sturdy as the Doc Martens ones were, because they had a better heel, quite frankly, better designed heel. So I'm salivating over boots that I can't afford, that are not even practical and might not even last. some kind of breakdown, isn't it, babies? Meanwhile, I'm eating chocolate so I can get even fatter and then I'll be even less likely to hobble around on my boots. Oh! Do I care? No. So it's scathing hot here in Brisbane, Australia. Look, I'm looking all wrung out from the heat. The humidity's intense. We've got a storm brewing. The skies are hazy shade of sickly looking grey and possible tinges of green, which means hail. My hail cover for my car's eroded, so I should actually run out and put it on the car, but I don't think it'll protect much because it's all kind of rotting away. Well, I bought it in 2012 when I bought the car, so, you know, nothing lasts forever, babies. Not hail covers, not studded boots, not even this exceptionally fabulous, loud and joyous Mama T. Whee! But I've lasted longer than I expected, so there is that. Anyway, have I welcomed you to Sacred Space in Titania's realm yet? Can't remember. The time is 3:58 p.m. on the 13th of November 2024. So, my darlings, my babies, my angels, my friends, enemies and countrymen, well aware that probably some of my enemies watch my channel too out of just idle curiosity and schadenfreude. Get a life, people. Get a fucking life. Honestly. What have they discovered about me today? That I'm still obsessing over boots. Well, you know, come on, seriously, what's a girl going to do? I've got nothing else going on. Looking forward to our wild mosh and reaching catharsis on Friday. My doctor gave me a kind of a lecture on how it's both a physical and an energetic and a kind of psychosexual release. I mean, it's got nothing to do with sex, right? Not having sex with anyone. It's just the mosh. And he said to me, "You can't fool me, Tanya." I was like, This is the trouble when you have a psychiatrist. You can't pull the wool over their eyes. You can try and pull the wool over your own babies, but even as he was watching me do it, he was like, this is all very interesting. I'm putting that in my notes. Oh, he's delightful. So how am I going to manifest car parking, safe car parking, safe, affordable car parking, and those boots, Bri? He said you'll just have to ask about the car parking, just see what can be done. The boots, however, $4,000 boots. But I do this. I once fell in love with a $6,500 South American macaw that I obsessed about for 2 weeks. All my friends had to talk me down at that point of time. I had newly inherited my car, which I had paid at that time. What did I pay for that car? I think it was $22,000. And it was still new, so I was very tempted to sell the car and buy the bird. There was some quite frantic wrangling on the part of my closest friends because they were scared that I would actually do it. And to be fair, I was tempted. But instead we've got, come here little Charlie, come here. She's not a South American macaw. She's a semi-bald rainbow lorikeet because she plucks her own feathers out because she's neurotic like her Mama T. Yes, you are. You're neurotic like your Mama T. But anyway, look, I manifested a blue-headed with a blue head. Not quite a South American macaw, but close enough. I think I need to work on my visualizations, people of Earth. But I'm not dissatisfied with you, Charlie. You're a wonderful pet and a wonderful girl, and you're my baby. Yes. She's a very happy baby. I bought 2 garden hoses in Aldi, and I'm thinking that I would join them together, which is what I normally do. So I've got an extra long hose for the front garden, and couldn't join them together because it didn't have the right fittings, and it was all hullabaloo. And then I had trouble getting the brass fittings that I bought from my old hose off, so then I had to cut that off. So I've been out there in the heat faffing about with garden hoses. So there's just one hose now, and the spare hose I just put away. I may just use it to replace the back garden hose because they rot out in time. But it wasn't originally intended to be 2 joined together. So I might have to go to Bunnings tomorrow, Arvo, after my cleaning lady leaves, and get the attachment to join the plastic hoses together, because that was the plan. It's like, why do I have to get defeated by every single little motherfucking thing, am I right? Anyway, it's good to have hoses that actually work and don't spray all over my clothing and make me wet every time I use them, which is the problem with the one up the back. So I might just put the new hose on that back one as well and be done with it. Be done with all the drama. It's too much drama. It's too much chaos, drama, Charlie. Mama doesn't do chaos and drama and instability. It's getting old. It's getting a bit boring. Gotcha. Enough waffling. You can tell I'm really hot because my brain's just flying everywhere. Today we will read from Bernhard Malamud again, because, under the influence of some random spirit that floated through that likes Bernhard Malamud. And the story I flipped to that I thought on the theme of angels, it's called Angel Levine, and I picked it because it's much shorter than the one I read yesterday. There's a series of shorter ones, so we might do a few stories, and should be a bit interesting, bit of fun, bit of culture, bit of Yiddishkeit, Jewishness, Jewish culture. For someone who's a lapsed Jew, I don't seem to have left it all that very much together, although my Friday nights are very un-Jewish, moshing, doing the heavy metal mosh, flipping my hair, wearing dervishing, while sipping Jack Daniels to wild rock bands who love me. Most un-Jewish thing you could possibly think of. But I want to remind you, rabbis and gubbis and all the McJudgy religious ones, the band Kiss, they were Jewish. Some of them were anyway. There's quite a few rock stars that were actually Jewish. So I'm just a heathen that can't say no to wild music and joy and delight. And back in the day when I used to be a more religious Jewish woman, I used to do the Israeli folk dancing when I first converted when I was 17. Did that a lot. And what else did I used to do? I used to, lead services on a Friday night or a Saturday. I used to be very involved in my community, very, very involved indeed. So, what can I say? Things change, life goes on, but, Mama T is in service to the gods in rather extraordinary ways now. Very extraordinary ways. So let us read Angel Levine. Are you ready, people of Earth? Let me just take a deep breath. There's a big fat kookaburra sitting on the line watching us. It's delightful. We're very happy, aren't we, Charlie? Right, here we go. Mana Shevitz, a tailor, in his 51st year, suffered many reverses and indignities. Previously a man of comfortable means, he overnight lost all he had when his establishment caught fire and, after a metal container of cleaning fluid exploded, burned to the ground. Although Manischewitz was insured against fire, damaged suits by 2 customers who had been hurt in the flames deprived him of every penny he had collected. At almost the same time, his son, of much promise, was killed in the war, and his daughter, without so much as a word of warning, married a lout and disappeared with him as off the face of the earth. Oh well, you get that, babies. My daughters have disappeared off the face of the earth to Mama T, and that's without marrying louts, so shit happens. Thereafter, Manischewitz was victimized by excruciating backaches. Oh, baby boy, I know how that goes. And found himself unable to work even as a presser, the only kind of work available to him, for more than an hour or 2 daily, because beyond that the pain from standing became maddening. His Fanny, a good wife and mother, who had taken in washing and sewing, began before his eyes to waste away. Suffering shortness of breath, she at last became seriously ill and took to her bed. The doctor, a former customer of Manischewitz, I really love Manischewitz Malaga kosher wine. You can buy it only from America. We can probably get it imported from America. Manischewitz Malaga wine. It's thick like syrup and oh, it's delicious. Used to be my favourite thing when I first converted to Judaism. I'd go to Kiddush and I'd go, has anyone brought Manischewitz? And they'd look at me and they'd go, oh, you like that one, do you, Tanya? I went, it's very sweet. And they went, like you? They knew I had a sweet tooth. It's a beautiful wine though. Some kosher wine tastes like the sour ass end of a back-ended frickin' wine created by someone that is very bitter against life. It's awful. You can taste the hate and the bitterness. And we used to kind of have a thing at shul for Kiddush. Every time they brought around the wine, they'd all look at me and they'd go, it's not Manischewitz, Tanya. And I'd be like, oh dear God. Anyway, we'd have a sip of this other stuff and it was foul and we'd just all look at each other and we'd go, it's not Manischewitz. But anyway, those were the days, my friend. We thought they'd never end. And then they did. But it's still not Manischewitz. The doctor, a former customer of Manischewitz, who out of pity treated them, at first had difficulty diagnosing her ailment, but later put it down as hardening of the arteries at an advanced stage. He took Manischewitz aside, prescribed complete rest for her, and in whispers gave him to know there was little hope. Throughout his trials, Manischewitz had remained somewhat stoic, almost unbelieving that all this had descended upon his head, as if it were happening, let us say, to an acquaintance or some distant relative. It was a sheer quantity of woe, incomprehensible. It was also ridiculous, unjust, and because he had always been a religious man. It was in a way an affront to God. Manischewitz believed this in all his suffering. When his burden had grown too crushingly heavy to be borne, he prayed in his chair with shut, hollow eyes. My dear God, sweetheart, did I deserve that this should happen to me? Then, recognizing the worthlessness of it, he put aside the complaint and prayed humbly for assistance. Give Fanny back her health, and to me for myself, that I shouldn't feel pain in every step. Help now, or tomorrow is too late. This I don't have to tell you. And Manischewitz wept. This is the thing when dealing with the Holy One. You can't always cut deals with him. It's a very strange thing, paradox. We're asked to put all our faith in an invisible sky being, but when things turn to complete evil, sometimes your prayers fall on deaf ears. And sometimes the Lord really does only help those who help themselves in the most outrageous ways. My psychiatrist said to me today, now Tanya, I know what you're like when you're ready to move on. You think you're not being treated right. I know how you'll stare down death right in its very jaws. He said, don't be joining any more outlaw motorcycle organisations. Oh, we laughed and we laughed. I said, no, Brian. I said, those men. The hierarchy were very good to me, the old ones, but the young ones were very dishonouring and threatening indeed. I said, big girls' blouses, not worthy of the Tanya. And we laughed and laughed. And he said, I know what you're like, Tanya. You're liable to go and find another organisation to just turn up at. And I went, nah, done that, been there, done that, got the T-shirt, I'm happy. I've achieved my aims in life. I've proved that I belong to no club that will have me as a member. So I come and go like the wind, as I please, according to my whims. And I like it that way. Don't like being tied down by anyone, being under anyone's oppressive authoritarian rule. Never like that. Never will like it. Start that shit with me and Mama T's out of here faster than you can say. Freedom! But anyway, it was cute how he teased me about that. Said, you were chasing death, Tanya. I said, was I? Was I really? Maybe. Death and I are bosom buddies and pals. You pray to the goddess long enough, she sends you serpents to hang out with you in your garden for 12 days. So, although someone messaged me on my YouTube today and said she's probably not very far away and hasn't left at all, which is an astonishing thought, but they're probably right. She may have gone somewhere else to lay eggs or something. You know, she found me a bit of a noisy neighbour because I'd come out and film her like 2 or 3 times a day, so I think I got on Sybil's last nerve. Where did that schmutter go? She's just done an almighty shit on me. Charlie! Right, I'm sure I brought a cloth in. Well, I have to go back and get the cloth. Can't be sitting in bird shit. Right. Dear goddess. Where did I put it? Charlie girl, look at all those poopy kins everywhere, all over the mama. Didn't see that bit. Oh dear goddess, it's all over me. How did you do that so fast? You've had a busy bottom, haven't you? Very busy bottom. Look at this. Oh look, Mummy looks lovely 5 minutes ago. Right, now more wet. Wet patches from the bird. Right. Here we go. Oh, the gods. Things we do for love. Right, let's just carry on with the story. Malamud's flat, which he had moved into after the disastrous fire, was a meagre one, furnished with a few sticks of chairs, a table and bed in one of the poorer sections of the city. There were 3 rooms, a small, poorly papered living room, an apology for a kitchen with a wooden icebox, and the comparatively large bedroom where Fanny lay in a sagging, second-hand bed, gasping for breath. The bedroom was the warmest room of the house, and it was here, after his outburst to God, that Malamud, by the light of 2 small bulbs overhead, sat reading his Jewish newspaper. Oh, I remember those days. My rabbi, my beautiful rabbi, handsome, talented rabbi, Rabbi Uri Tamal, a very good man who supported me very sincerely and honouringly for a long time. He and his wife used to give me their leftover Australian Jewish newspapers, which were very interesting to peruse, I used to enjoy that. Anyway, that's just a memory from long, long ago now, 25 years ago. 25 years been in the blink of an eye. 14 years dancing for Alter Egos and Ramjet and all the other bands that used to come to the live wire bar at the casino, and they used to dance at the Elephant and Irish Murphys, although on them, what they did to me, the bastards. And what else? Where else did I used to go? The Tempo Bar. Once I went there for my 49th birthday. Woody from Burst, the whole band, all the Burst, Dale and Woody and Andy, they all wished me happy birthday and they made such a wonderful fuss. I think my 49th birthday was the happiest birthday I ever had in my entire life. It was a very nice birthday. We won't mention my 50th and what happened not long after that. It's like it was a complete antithesis of all the joy and delight I experienced. Mama T went right down into the fucking abyss. But never mind, my 50th year, when I turned 50 that year, 2015, was one of the worst anti-horribilia of my life, and I've had many, so it tells you how bad it was, by all the gods. Anyway, after that near-death experience, that's when I started slowly extricating myself from Judaism as well, although in my heart, deep down in my heart, I know I still have a Jewish neshama, even though I don't practice anymore. So let us carry on. I may go back one day, you never know, stranger things have been known to happen. I did consider, going down to Temple Shalom on the Gold Coast and, going there for services and joining in, but I didn't like how they practically filleted all the politicians over the COVID epoch. I thought, no, not one of those people had any honour or integrity to our human species, so I certainly won't be encouraging or supporting that. So it leaves me a Jew without a congregation. Still, after all these years, I'm not all that sorry about it, quite frankly. I belong to no one but God, and God dangles me over the precipice, monotonous regularity, and delights to see whether I fly or not. Sometimes I fly, sometimes I collapse in a heap, but on Friday nights on the Holy Shabbat, I mosh, and that is my way of flying. And the psychiatrist says reaching catharsis in an almost sexual way, but not quite, because I'm not having sex, people, with anyone. Go home alone, safely, keep in my lane. But it's the energy I put out. I said that is very stimulating and exciting. They've all been enjoying that wonderful energy for 14 years, he says. They're not going to let you go too easily, Tanya. Maybe, maybe not. But I just don't like to feel that I'm being, taken for granted or, potentially used, because the energy I pour out, I don't get paid for. I'm giving it out quite freely, and it's intense. So healing energy is symbiosis and a joy and a delight, and everyone wants to be valued and loved, don't they? Sad, really. I will get over myself eventually, in time. But just the little games that have been played in the last few months have been a little bit alarming. But then I have a very sensitive radar, because I come from enormous childhood abuse. So sometimes I can be a little bit tetchy and a little bit easily triggered, and I acknowledge that. Jokes about pedophiles are not my favourite thing. And what else is a trigger for me? People treating me like I'm just some sort of dirty old leftover scrag. Not good to do that to the Mama T, who's only ever fucking participated and poured love into all of you, not just the beloved one that I have feelings for, but all of you have enjoyed that energy output. And don't get me wrong, I've enjoyed yours too, your music. As my psychiatrist said to me today, he said, it's not just about the one that you have feelings for, Tanya, you followed them for 14 years because you love their music. I said, indeed. And my only modus operandi of being there is that I get to do my crazy wild dance that I can't do just anywhere, because it looks crazy and most people don't understand it. So it's a symbiotic feedback loop. They provide the music, I provide the energy from my dance, and it builds and it builds and it builds, and by the third set we've worked ourselves up into some kind of a semi-orgasmic frenzy, and it's wonderful. And then I go home alone safely, usually, except for last Friday night, that weirdo getting off the bus with me, but usually I get home relatively safely, and everyone is satisfied and happy with their contributions, and has had a wonderful night and a wonderful time enjoying our collective energy outpourings. That's what it's all about, babies. Seriously, that's all I'm interested in. Of course, if I were to take a lover one day, it would have to be someone that can support me to continue with my dance and my music scene contribution, because why should I give up the things I enjoy the most because of someone else's petty inadequacies or envies or jealousies or spite? I'm not going to do that for anyone. So that is what it is. is that? That's only about something in your door, Charlie. Right, let's carry on. He was sitting reading his Jewish newspaper. He was not truly reading because his thoughts were everywhere. He's like me, segueing everywhere. However, the print offered a convenient resting place for his eyes, and a word or two, when he permitted himself to comprehend them, had the momentary effect of helping him forget his troubles. Bobo's in heaven, darling. Bobo's in heaven. After a short while he discovered, to his surprise, that he was actively scanning the news, searching for an item of great interest to him. Exactly what he thought he would read he couldn't say, until he realised, with some astonishment, that he was expecting to discover something about himself. Manischewitz put his paper down and looked up with the distinct impression that someone had entered the apartment, though he could not remember having heard the sound of the door opening. That would kind of freak me out, but, I have spirits that wander through from time to time, often interrupt my readings, am I right? They don't need doors, just appear and disappear according to their will as well. He looked around. The room was very still, Fanny sleeping for once quietly. Half frightened, he watched her until he was satisfied she wasn't dead. Then, still disturbed by the thought of an unannounced visitor, he stumbled into the living room, and there had the shock of his life, for at the table sat a Negro reading a newspaper he had folded up to fit into one hand. "What do you want here?" Manischewitz asked in fright. The Negro put down the paper. I realise Negro is not the political correct expression anymore, but these books were written, I'm not sure when he wrote these. Let me just have a look. They date back, some of them, to the 50s and 60s and 70s, so we don't refer to African American people as Negroes anymore unless they're referring to themselves that way, but which is okay if they're referring to themselves that way, but I just want to clarify, it's not modern day parlance. But anyway, let us continue with the story. The Negro put down the paper and glanced up with a gentle expression. "Good evening." He seemed not to be sure of himself, as if he'd got into the wrong house. He was a large man, bonily built, with a heavy head covered by a hard derby, which he made no attempt to remove. "Oh, sorry, Charlie. Jacob, you're frightened. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." His eyes seemed sad, but his lips, above which he wore a slight moustache, sought to smile, and he was not otherwise prepossessing. The cuffs of his sleeves, Manischewitz noted, were frayed to the lining, and the dark suit was badly fitted. He had very large feet. Recovering from his fright, Manischewitz guessed he had left the door open and was being visited by a caseworker from the welfare department. Some came at night, for he had recently applied for relief. Therefore, he lowered himself into a chair opposite the Negro, trying, before the man's uncertain smile, to feel comfortable. The former tailor sat stiffly but patiently at the table. There's some teenage kids being towed up the road on a skateboard by two very, very large Great Dane dogs, which is kind of dangerous given a car's just driven up the road. But I saw the funny side of that. Anyway, sorry about that interruption, but it was dangerous what they were doing actually, but I kind of had to laugh. Where were we? The former tailor sat stiffly but patiently at the table, waiting for the investigator to take out his pad and pencil and begin asking questions. But before long he became convinced the man intended to do nothing of the sort. "Who are you?" Manischewitz at last asked uneasily. "If I may, insofar as one is able to identify myself, I bear the name of Alexander Levine." In spite of all his troubles, Manischewitz felt a smile growing on his lips. "You said Levine?" he politely inquired. The Negro nodded. "That is exactly right." Carrying the jest farther, Manischewitz asked, "You are maybe Jewish?" "All my life I was willingly." The tailor hesitated. He had heard of black Jews, but had never met one. It gave an unusual sensation. Recognizing in afterthought something odd about the tense of Levine's remark, he said doubtfully, "You ain't Jewish anymore?" Levine at this point removed his hat, revealing a very white part in his black hair, but quickly replaced it. He replied, "I have recently been disincarnated into an angel. As such, I offer you my humble assistance, if to offer is within my province and ability in the best sense." He lowered his eyes in apology, which calls for added explanation. "I am what I am granted to be, and at present the completion is in the future." Trying to remove the chocolate from the bird, who, like Mama T, loves chocolate, but she can't have it because it's poisonous to birds. It's probably poisonous to Mama T, but I didn't get that memo. I'm not having that memo. It'll make me sick tomorrow, but I'm not having that memo. I need my theobromine hit. Dear Goddess, it's the only gift from Quetzalcoatl I ever got, and I'm sticking to it. "What kind of angel is this?" Manischewitz gravely asked. "A bona fide angel of God, within prescribed limitations, as all angels are, very limited by God. They have their own exact stations that they cannot move beyond. Although that sweet little, chubby little cherub flies everywhere, sticking its arrows up where it ain't welcome. When it does, by the gods, by all the gods, anarchy and chaos, heartache, revolution, broken hearts, grand passions, lusts, turmoils, theobromine hits, love addictions, all because of a little chubby cherub, am I right? Well, it isn't always that bad. Sometimes it's wonderful to be in love, and you're loved back, wholesomely and truly and deeply and passionately and romantically and loyally and faithfully and devotedly, and you actually get to be playful and have fun together too, and it's not all fucking serious. But I segued. A bona fide angel of God within prescribed limitations, answered Levine. Not to be confused with the members of any particular sect, order, or organisation here on earth operating under a similar name. Oh, I like that. I like that. Why should angels be subscribed by human beings? Dominating, controlling, weird cultural motifs. Angels are free and wild and go where they're wanted and leave when they're not wanted and come back the next week and, oh no, I'm projecting now. I'm projecting. Manischewitz was thoroughly disturbed. He had been expecting something, but not this. What do you want when you pray to God? You pray to God, you ask for help, He sends you help, you doubt the help He's given you. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt many times. What sort of mockery was it? Someone in the background burst out laughing. Yeah, I'm glad you find that funny. What sort of mockery was it, provided Levine was an angel, of a faithful servant who had from childhood lived in the synagogues, always concerned with the word of God? To test Levine, he asked, then where are your wings? They're talking at me, but I can't quite hear them, but I can feel the energy moving in waves like they're really excited. I can't hear you, and don't interrupt my reading to the people of Earth. You'll get me later, no doubt, unawares in my psychedelic dreaming when I sleep. There's no rest from the angels, none. When they've got you for the rest of this incarnation at least.